All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Grace.
Grace.
Okay, so
Because it's-
can you say something?
So one.
And you just,
Yeah.
you can leave the sign for it in my mailbox.
Right now it only wants me.
Okay. I know, I see that.
Why is the owl not working? Oh, you have to plug her in. Hold on one moment, just have to plug in the owl because I did not plug in the owl. Let's try this. There we go.
Okay.
There we
Look at
go.
All right, I am going to go ahead and call the select board meeting to order. Today is December 26th, 2023, and this is a hybrid meeting, so the 3 select board members are here at Town Hall, and the other participants are participating via Zoom. It looks like Geneva, she was off today, so she is not here to take notes. I don't know if one of you would be willing to just.
It is recording, so she will have that.
Oh,
but
she'll
I will-
have
I
it.
can
Okay,
drop
just in
something.
case there's anything.
Yep, I'll
Yeah,
drop
that's, so, this is a special meeting that we scheduled, to review the town meeting warrant. And so we're not going to have any public discussion this evening, but we're going to move right into reviewing and voting on the special town meeting warrant, and then review and potentially vote on the electric vehicle supercharger proposal that the town received. So we'll just go ahead, and we have been through the warrant once. What I can do is just read through the articles and see if there's anything in particular that the select board needs to change or has questions about. I'm not going to read the entire warrant, which is 15 pages, because the Shutesbury Wetlands bylaw, I believe, is 14 of the 15 pages. So the first article is see if the town will vote to transfer $50,000 to the legal expense line from free cash or take any action there too. You want to vote article by article?
That's how we've done it in the
Okay.
times that I've done this, but we can, okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve Article 1, the transfer $50,000 to legal expense line from free cash?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Carol, aye. Article 2 is to see if the town will vote to adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 22F, or take any action relative thereto. And this article, which we discussed at our last meeting, is something that had been recommended a long time ago for the town to pass. But basically, it's accepting that committees, both elected and appointed, can charge fees. And I gather, because we hadn't adopted this, there's been a lot of discussion about the legitimacy of some of the fees we have been charging.
Yep.
So, questions?
It also defaults to state fees, but if we don't pass this law, right, it allows us to set that.
Yeah, I'd have to go back through it. I didn't read it again.
That's
but,
my recollection.
Yeah. So this would be, obviously, is a vote of town meeting, therefore it's on the warrant. So do I hear, and it's been recommended by town council, do I hear a motion to approve Article 2 to adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 40?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Carol, aye. Article 3 is to see if the town will vote to repeal the old 1987 Town of Shutesbury Wetlands Protection Bylaw and adopt the new 2024 Town of Shutesbury Wetlands Protection Bylaw as follows, or take any action thereto. And therein are approximately 13 pages of the Wetlands Protection Bylaw that has been reviewed by our special counsel, Greg McGregor, and the changes have been voted on and incorporated by the Conservation Commission. So do I hear a motion to approve Article 3?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makey, Sonia, aye.
Stocker, aye.
Carol, aye. Article 4 is to see if the town will vote to transfer $9,000. It should read from free cash. This says from free. So we need to, it should
Yeah.
be,
Hang on, I think
can
this is, hold on, excuse me a second. One second, just thinking. Okay.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going down to that's number 4.
It's Article 4. Yeah.
One moment. Article 4 to see from free cash. Got it.
Got it?
Just
Okay.
entered that in there. Yep.
From free cash to fund mitigation and testing for gasoline at the fire station in response to the DEP letter, or take any action relative thereto. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 4?
Yes, I so moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
Nope.
So this is money that, for the work that Ty and Bond has been doing.
correct.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makey, Sonia, aye.
Stocker, aye.
Sarah, aye. Article 5 is to see if the town will vote to appropriate the FY 2024 MLP Municipal Light Plant Certified Retained Earnings of $136,943 as follows. $136,943 to the MLP FY 2023 Emergency Reserve Fund.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? I think we talked about this one too. All right. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makey, Sonia, aye.
Stocker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Article 6 is to see if the town will vote to transfer $40,000 from capital stabilization to fund the cost overrun at the Lots Pond Culvert Project, or take any action relative thereto. Questions?
Nope.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve Article 6?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makey, Sonia, aye.
Stocker, aye.
Carol, aye. Article 7 is to see if the town will vote to pay a bill of prior years from free cash for $2,500 to the Mosquito Control Board, or take any action relative thereto.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makey, Sonia, aye.
Stocker, aye.
Carol, aye. Okay, so that is it. There's the last page we need to sign, correct?
Yep,
So
I just
will
wanna
we
make sure-
replace that one page? Is that
Yes,
how
I
it
just want
works?
to make sure we're lining up because
Okay,
it just altered, but go ahead, continue.
Okay.
I can do this.
so that concludes the discussion of the special town meeting warrant for January 16th, 2024. The next item on the agenda, which we put on, I think was put on after our last meeting. It was raised at our last meeting about this proposal that we might have for electric vehicle superchargers. And I know, Eric, you did some research. We don't have, as far as I know, we don't have a formal proposal in front of us tonight. Is that correct? I didn't see that we would be voting on anything.
I think the proposal was, I don't have, of course, I think this was proposal, I think. And there's something signed at the bottom.
Okay.
I see Stu's hand.
Yeah, let me just wait for a
Yep.
second and see.
Hold on.
It is a proposal, Rita.
It is a proposal. Okay, I didn't go through it. And, you know, I think it sort of raised, I had a number of questions, and then Eric actually put a number of questions together for the fellow from Livingston. And I don't know if Becky was able to reach it was Green Communities, Michael, that is it
Yeah,
sort of
she didn't tell me she was reaching out. Just so you guys know, Becky put us, the ECAC, on as an official meeting, although Gail and I are here, so we don't have a quorum, but
Okay.
I think we sent Becky questions separately, so she might have some of those questions that we
Okay.
had.
Yeah, she isn't here tonight. She's en route to see family, and so I'm not sure, she might be joining us at some point. But Steve, did you have something you wanted to add? Steve?
Yes, it's actually from the warrant, and I didn't get my hand up quick enough. But the MLP appropriation there, from the
Yeah,
retained earnings, that was supposed to be, that needs to be for the FY24 emergency reserve, not FY23.
okay, let me just go back and make sure I didn't misread it.
No,
It says 23. Okay, so then, thank you, Steve. So we need to revote that.
Okay.
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 All right, so we're gonna go back to Article 5 and to see if the town will vote to appropriate the FY 2024 MLP certified retained earnings of $136,943 as follows. $136,943 to the MLP FY 2024 emergency fund. Okay, we will correct that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, thanks.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace and Neil, aye.
Stocker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Thanks, Steve. Okay, so I know, Eric, that you had gotten in touch, you had a bunch of questions, and you had gotten in touch with the
Yeah,
Livingstone.
I talked today to their salesperson, basically JL, that's his name. And I had the question, well, I'll just very quickly run down the list of questions I asked him, which may or may not be all the questions that should be asked. I wouldn't claim they are. One thing's clear to me after talking to him, that whatever we do, before we sign anything that's actually like a contract, obviously that one run by Donna, make
Right.
sure that we were not overstepping our abilities here or whatever. Anyway, I was wondering first, who's funding this thing? Because it's about, I can't remember what it was, it's a
It's
lot of
like
money.
$300,000.
It's more than that, $416,000.
All right.
And the answer that, as far as I could tell, the answer was, as I said last week, I said, I smelled federal money here, and it is federal. There is federal money behind it eventually, at some level. But I think also, and maybe Michael would know, do you know the utilities, are they required to make a certain amount of electrical charging available? Do you know that?
I don't know that. And after you made that comment last week, I tried to do a little bit of digging, because I agree, it seems like it's got to be coming from the feds, but it's channeled. There's pressure on the utilities, I think, to have some sort of capacity that they're pushing out.
Right.
What I don't know is the relationship of the amount of money that's going to the utilities and then what the utilities are subsidizing. Because clearly, I mean, National Grid is subsidizing the bulk of this work. But
Right.
I don't know the answer to that, Eric.
Yeah, I have read that this, I think it was about $7 billion in the, I think it was in the tax plan.
Inflation reduction.
Yeah, it was supposed to be to help build out the electrical charging network, and the states were supposed to give that money out to people. I don't know.
It's all going slow.
It's a little funny money to me, and I'm not quite sure, I'm not sure that's something we should get hung up on. We could probably get clarified on that a little bit more, but anyway, we'll keep going and we'll go from there. I asked her, who owns the chargers once they are installed? And the answer is the town of Shutesbury owns them. They give them to us, basically. And they're guaranteed, warranted, all that kind of thing for like 5 years. We don't pay anything at all for 5 years, as far as I can tell. After that time, I can get into in a minute. Are there any fees to the town or to the user of the facility other than the electricity that's being used, that the user pays for? His answer to that was no. There's no charges, no nothing. Let's see. Who's responsible for the maintenance and repairs? Again, for the first 5 years, they are. If we don't pay, it's just part of the whole grant proposal, they pay. After 5 years, that's a special, we might want to have Donna step in and see what kind of contract they want to sign, but he was basically saying it's between $300 and $450, probably as low as $450 with a service contract per port per year. So that's, if it was, let's say it was $600 per port per year, I mean, that's $2,400. Then in theory, we'd have to come up with a year. We'd have to come up with a year in 5 years from now. Again, seems fairly reasonable and unbelievable, but that's what it is. And for that, if we had that, again, we want to get that clarified with Donna probably, but in theory, we'd have no charges for anything.
I don't have an answer for that.
Oh,
Is there
yeah.
something else I can help with?
I don't know. Mr. Computer doesn't even believe it. Let's see. Are these charges part of any network, other network, like the ones I know about for sure are Electrify America, EV Go, ChargePoint? He said, no, absolutely not. We view ourselves as competitors of those people. So he said, no, we're not the same deal at all.
And I'll just offer up, Nate Hurd did a little research and I ended up getting the email that he sent to Becky. He said that it's primarily right now a New York-based network, just based on his looking, and they're based in Schenectady. So I think it's mostly upstate New York. There's not, as far as Nate could tell, there's none of their chargers in Massachusetts yet. So we would be on the forefront, which, you know, I don't know if we want to do that, but we're not buying into a big broad network that currently exists in the state.
Well, here's what he said to that. He basically said, we're not part of any of those other networks, and it doesn't make any difference. He said, you buy an app for Livingston or whatever the name of the company is. You get an app which is free, you put it on your phone, and that's what talks. That's how you pay for stuff. But you have your credit card is linked to that app. Again, this is not unlike EV Go or any of those other ones. I mean, I have an electric car, and I know I have a ChargePoint account. I just go up to the machine and flick my thing, and it shows up my credit card. Amazing. Yeah. Anyway, so it sounded like the fact that they were sort of a standalone private thing more so than these other companies wouldn't be a problem. In other words, I think you could have several of those apps on your phone. You could have this one, you could have EV Go, you could have ChargePoint. You can sort of charge wherever. It's sort of getting to be more, what's the word, universal the way they're doing it. But it's like the plugs are a little different, like Tesla's got their own, and there's some of that. He said that's changing, and he said that's an aside. He said that's really not a problem. So we can charge anything. Doesn't matter what it is, what kind of plug you have. Who sets the rates for the charging? The answer is we do. The town does. I mean, I don't know what our current rate is for kilowatts per hour, but let's say it's 30 cents, or I don't know what it is. We can have it be 30 cents, and so it just pays for itself. We can have it be 35 cents, so it makes a little money for that $2,400 that's going to come down the road in a few years. We can make that decision. I asked how changeable that is. He said, you can change it. He said, you have a dashboard. The town has a dashboard, so to speak, but, but he said that, they have to actually make the change. You have to call them and say, change it, and they change, because he said, we're just too worried about somebody will change it to the wrong thing, like, and they'll charge too much or too little, or they won't get the right answer, so they have to do it. I asked him if the information for availability of the charger would be available on the app, and he said, yes, it would. And that's a problem, I know with chargers in general, it's like where people want to know if they get to point A, I mean, is there, it says there's a charger there, their phone says there one, but are there 12 people waiting to get online to the charger? So he said, no, you can get on and it'll tell you the status of it, who's on, whether it's being available, when it will be available, that kind of thing. I can't think of anything else unless anybody has any questions. I can't think. Oh, he did say that if we approved it today, he said it's still 2 or 3 months away before anything would happen. So it's just a matter of it is a 2 or 3 week window of, you know, whatever. The whole process takes 2 or 3 months.
My question really had more to do with, and that's all really valuable information. It had more to do with, it seems like we were picking a vendor without any kind of other proposals in front of us. And it sounds like these guys were trying to jump
Oh
the
yeah,
line.
they're definitely
They're really interested. And Michael, to your point, they haven't done anything else in Massachusetts, to me would say, like, really, do we want to be the first ones? But, I would feel more, I don't feel comfortable at all signing any kind of proposal without doing some more research.
That's fine.
And also just making sure that there's no procurement thing triggered here. Because we're signing a contract now. It's not for services, which sort of is sometimes outside of the procurement laws, but it is for equipment that we're going to own. Now, we're not paying anything for it.
That's a complication.
Which, yeah,
we're not actually spending the money.
We're not spending the money, but we want to know who we're getting into a relationship with.
I agree. I mean, that would be my reaction as well. There's no reason we have to do it right now today.
Right.
And we can investigate it some more. And I mean, yeah.
So they're an approved vendor. That was what my impression, I went back, I did look and saw that there was an approved vendor, but I would feel better like knowing a little bit more about the money, because it sounds like they get us to commit and then they go seek the funding. Like they say, we have a client and now we want money from you. Utility
my
company.
sense is there's sort of a consulting firm effectively that puts all this together, takes all the monies and, but I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's great. And the Energy Committee has talked about charging stations, right, Michael?
Actually, when I was on the select board, we discussed getting a charger for town hall. So it goes back a few years. So we've been interested. I've been interested in it. We might even haven't budgeted for it at that point. Just since you asked me and I got the floor, Nate volunteered that he'd be willing to do some additional research. And I think, Gail might want to chime in, but what I know from Nate and I, we basically had the same sentiment as you, that this is promising, but some due diligence needs to happen, both to understand what's behind the money, definitely the commitment. I mean, this is a proposal, but contractual, you'd want to know what we're dealing with. And one thing that I didn't, Eric, when you asked me the question, one thing that Nate dug up is that National Grid apparently has, they have to install 32 megawatts of public fast charging ports between 2023 and 2026. So what's unclear in terms of the urgency is, are they bumping up against that ceiling and we'd want to get it underneath, in time, or if it goes out to 2026, or does something change? So I don't think there's a reason to jump quickly, but
No,
just in
that's
terms
right.
of the context, like, does National Grid have some kind of requirement from the feds, either because of the money they're getting or whatever, just to know where it is in the process would be helpful. And I think the only other thing I would say, Eric, when you're talking about I agree about the apps, because these guys do have their own app. It makes me think about, in the olden days of 20 years ago, say, when ATMs, you had all these proprietary systems. So I remember like there's the Citibank system, the Sirius system, and and then they started like merging, and you could be like East Hampton Bank had one system and Northampton Co-op had another, and they couldn't talk to each other necessarily. So I'm guessing this is a similar kind of thing where the market will, at some point coalesce. But it might be in the short term that people have multiple apps, which, it'd be nice if I guess the other equivalent is like, if you guys have the parking app, Parkmobile works in Amherst, it works in Northampton, it works in a bunch of other places. Springfield has another one. So it's just that kind of hassle. But if you have the right app, you're probably good. So I think we're come down where you are, which is, it looks really good. It's a little too good to be true, paying zero money.
Yeah.
But if
I
do the
think
due
it would also
diligence-
be good to know if, whether or not any other towns have done this, right? And what vendors they used.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I'm
The other
sorry.
thing to add real quick is how much fee will they get from the app? Will Livingston get kickback for the app for having to? Because if they're having an app of their own, there's a kickback there. So they're earning money maybe on the backside. And we want to know that.
And I think just in terms of the vendor list, really, it'd be good to go, and the due diligence part is looking at the other qualified vendors.
Yeah.
And say, do you have something to offer us? Because presumably it's the exact same program. It's this public workplace program that National Grid has. So presumably there's other vendors doing this, and to just get a sense of, are we getting a good, obviously it sounds like a good deal, but we should understand that from other people.
Yeah, so it could almost be that what I would want Becky to do is first check on the kind of procurement rules here. And then it could become, let's say we don't have to follow the 30B formally, but an informal solicitation to say, we are interested in having EVs, electric vehicle chargers here in Shutesbury, tell us kind of what you would have to offer us.
Yeah.
So that, we have something to prepare this.
Due diligence.
Yes, yeah.
Well, it does seem to me that, since we have National Grid here, we have to go with whoever works for National
Yeah,
Grid.
we have that list. I think there is a
But
list.
I think there's
of
more
that.
than one
Yes.
group
Oh,
that
yeah,
does
yeah,
this.
yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
good.
might
I
send
agree.
something out to to the entire list and see what comes back. Just because these guys got in the door first doesn't mean that.
Yeah, I would think it'd be worth talking to National Grid too, and just ask them,
Yeah.
just say what's,
Is that something Nate would do, or should we ask Becky?
I think I'd start with Becky just because Nate's doing a lot of research, but he's
Yeah.
definitely good at it.
Yeah.
So I think if Becky wants to reach out to Nate and sort of have a partner
Okay,
in crime,
Yeah.
that might be the way to go.
okay, great. All right, so we'll ask Becky to give Nate a call and coordinate contact with National Grid and Green Communities. Yeah.
one thing, I'm not sure I said this, but it is a proposal for, DC direct chargers, so it's different than the old days, Michael, when you were talking about when the select was, it's one of those high-speed superchargers, that's what it's for.
Yeah, this is
That's
the fast
for.
one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in theory, he said you could charge basically any car with to 80% charge rate in about an hour.
Right. So now we just have to get a coffee shop so people can go and get coffee while they're charging up.
Yeah.
We'll have to open a cafe here.
Well, that's one of, in theory, one of them will be at the library. Maybe the library can sell coffee or whatever. It's not a bad move. You go to the library, charge your car, and
Right.
could that work out really well? But anyway.
Yeah,
I
it's our
think
economic
it's all good
development
ideas.
plan.
Okay, all right, so, we'll do some more research and then, find out the questions on the procurement stuff
Mhm.
and, go from there. And the Energy Committee's meeting again this month?
We're meeting
I mean,
with,
January?
yeah, we're meeting with you. Let's see, we're meeting on January 2nd. And then we're
Okay.
meeting on January 9th to have a real meeting. And I think the January 9th meeting is with the FinCom to talk about
Oh, okay.
stuff. But here,
about
I'll
the-
tell you what the January 2nd meeting is, because I know we're meeting, what are we meeting on that for? We are meeting with you to talk about procurement and maybe the stretch code, but the procurement policy on
Okay,
January 2nd.
okay, great.
Yes.
Okay,
We're happy to
I think
continue to
if
be
I-
involved in this one.
Is the third, are we meeting on the second or third?
well, I think we are scheduled to
On the
meet on the
second.
second,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
so on
Alright.
the Tuesday,
Just
not on
checking.
the Wednesday,
Just
yeah.
checking.
I know
That's
sometimes it's
that's
been
right.
moved.
I think that's right. It's like a
but I
trash
think it is the
collection. Nobody
second.
knows when it happens.
And trash is
Right.
tomorrow, everybody. Wednesday, people. Wednesday trash collection.
And Tuesday, people.
And Tuesday.
On Tuesday, people,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Some
doing.
Tuesday.
almost
Some
every week.
Tuesday. You know.
Oh, boy. All right, so that is it for our agenda for this evening. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make these on your life.
Stalker, aye.
Darrell, aye. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good
See ya.
night. I'm gonna give this back to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
Okay.